and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm back with a brand new speed build, and it is indeed another suburban build. Yes, I can't get enough of these builds at the moment. I've had a lot of fun over this last week building again, and I do really love doing a good suburban build. So this is Cherry Tree Lane, which is a 5-bed 4-bathroom build on a 40 by 40 lot in Brindleton Bay, and it comes in at just less than 270,000 simoleons. I've no idea actually why I do include the price of the house and how much it comes to, because looking at any one of my builds, it's always going to be an absolute fortune. But yeah, this house, wow, did I have issues with this house. It was actually placed on 3 different lots in the end. I think I started over in Willow Creek, and it was a particular lot that I've built on quite a lot, which I quite like. But since the release of Seasons, we seem to have quite a few glitches at the moment with the shading of objects and the shading of lots as well. So I've made sure that my worlds that I build in are set in summer, so it's nothing to do with the seasons. It is just some sort of glitch which is causing shading errors. So unfortunately, I couldn't build on the lot that I wanted to. So I thought, right, well, I'll come down here to Brindleton Bay on the harbour, because I do really like this spot. I think it's got fantastic views, but unfortunately, whilst building the house, these huge trees at the front of the house kept getting in the way, and it was driving me a bit bonkers. So I thought I'll take it back over to the other side of Brindleton Bay and continue it on with a little bit more space. So I know quite a lot of fellow simmers use a software called Reshade, which recolours and retextures the entire world, makes it look brighter. That's something that's been around for quite a while now, and my good friend Hey Harry actually does a brilliant tutorial on that. So if anyone is interested, I'll leave a link to that in the description box below and you can go and check it out. But whilst I'm recommending it, I haven't actually got around to sorting that out for myself, and maybe that's something I can look into. But the thing is, with a new release of an expansion, there's always going to be little glitches and things that happen. I noticed it more with placing objects inside, that when you picked and selected the object, it was the right shade, but when you went to place it, it made it much darker with a shadow. So I had to change which sort of objects I was placing as well, because some of them are still not right. But I did notice that somebody had messaged a sim guru over on Twitter, and I've no doubt that they're more than aware of it, and it'll be something that will be ironed out soon, so I'm not too worried. But in the meantime, it does mean that any of the bigger builds I do will probably be on similar sort of lots. The lots aren't going to be as varied as what they are before. But to be honest, I think I only build on less than a handful of lots anyway, because I kind of like to build quite wide houses, and a lot of the lots in The Sims 4 are quite long lots, if that makes sense. So nothing much is really going to change in that respect. But yeah, this house, if I'm honest, editing it was an absolute nightmare, because not only did I have to chop and change round on which particular lot I was placing this house on, but I was so indecisive about how I wanted the layout of this to be. And normally when it comes to landscaping, I'm quite sort of fluent with it. I feel like I really know what I'm doing most of the time. But this time it was just like, I just couldn't kind of visualize how I wanted it to be. So instead of what I normally do is I down tools and I think, right, I'll save it where I am and I'll come back to it tomorrow. But because I really wanted to get it done, I kind of pushed through it. But as a result, it meant that I built a lot of things that I ended up undoing and redoing and over and over again. So editing was, yeah, a lot of fun. But I did get there in the end, and I was really happy with the way that it turned out. I managed to include things like, obviously, the big pool. We had the greenhouse that had planters in, and the flower arranging table. There were swings out at the front, as well as a fire pit. There were a few places to sit and eat and relax and chill out as well. And overall, I think it kind of came together quite nicely. But did I know what I was doing? No, I didn't have a clue. So yeah, I really like builds like that though. I think if I sit and think and plan, I mean, I don't really do that anyway, but I think generally most people have an idea of what they'd like to do. But I think that's the real enjoyment of being creative in The Sims, is that, you know, it's always a bit of a surprise on how things eventually end up turning out. So yeah, I did get there in the end, and I'm glad that I persevered, because I have to say this house is probably one of my favourites that I've done so far. But I'm just working on the main seating area in the back garden at the moment, and I really, really love this kind of like sofa seating set that The Sims have brought in with Seasons. And it's kind of like, it's got some really, really nice colours to it, and it goes really, really well in the garden. Not so sure about that umbrella, if I'm honest. I think it's just like the angle of it, and I don't know, I just feel like it's a little bit flat, but I thought it came in some nice colours, and obviously it's new, so everybody likes shiny new things, so I thought I'd stick it in there anyway. But yeah, so I'm just working on the pool at the minute, and obviously have no idea what I'm doing. It took me a long time to kind of decide the layout of this garden and how I wanted it to look and what I wanted to include, but eventually I just went with the flow, and this is what happened. But I was actually sat with my son earlier on, and he was like, oh, you know, what you're working on, Mum? So I showed him what I was doing. He was like, wow, that pool's awesome. He's like, I'd love a house like that. So that's always a bonus, you know. If your teenage son can like what you're doing, then you've got to be going right somewhere. But yeah, so I was quite happy. I don't think there's that much more to do on the garden at this point. There are things that I don't tend to include in a speed build, and that's things like doing the pool, sort of the colouring for the pool and the pool lights, and a lot of the time I don't include the garden lights either. Because my lots are quite big, one of the things that I do a lot is I place multiple lights in the landscaping areas, and a lot of them are hidden. Because the houses are so big, it's really quite difficult to light it with lights that are on show, if that makes sense. If you put all the lights on show, it would just be a ridiculous amount of lights. So a lot of the time I tend to hide multiple lights within the landscaping, and then that way it just gives it a nice, well, it kind of lights it up really well. But I'm just working on this little greenhouse at the minute, and I didn't spend a lot of time doing it, to be honest. It was kind of, I feel like I sort of rushed it a little bit, but I thought it kind of includes everything that I wanted it to, and it's quite cute. So yeah, but moving on to the interior, this is one of the master bedrooms. I decided to do, well, what I normally do is obviously cater for all sorts of different Sims, like different age groups. And this house was just no exception. I did exactly the same thing. So this is kind of like the master bedroom. And then I went on to create I think it was like a little girl's bedroom. And then there was a teen boys and teen girls bedroom. And also one for a toddler boy stroke child. So there's lots and lots of options there anyway. And it should certainly cater for any type of Sim family. So yeah, I've been making the most of using a lot of the new items that came with Seasons, and I really, really love a lot of the new items. I think they're really kind of homely, and I particularly like, I think, the bathroom suite, which I said in the last video, and I do like some of the sort of like the chest of drawers that are in here and the bedside tables. I think they look really, really nice. So yeah, I've been making the most of using those items quite a lot in the last couple of builds. But you'll have to let me know what you think about Seasons. Like, how's your experience been so far? Do you enjoy it? Do you rate it as an expansion? I must admit, I still haven't got around to actually playing. I've spent a lot of time in build mode this last week, but I do hope to kind of pick up on either one of the challenges I've already been doing, or I might even start a new challenge. Let me know your recommendations for challenges as well. I've got a couple on the go already, so I might just jump into one of them just to see what Seasons is like and how immersive it is and things like that. I did actually start my proper Sims journey back in Sims 3, and the only expansions I had was pets and seasons. And seasons for me, I really missed it in the Sims 4 because I just felt, I think I played a lot more Sims in Sims 3 than I did in Sims 4 because, you know, I just felt like it was a lot more immersive with weather and things like that, but I've still not tested that out yet, and I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope it feels just the same, or if not better, than The Sims 3. So moving on now to the teen boys bedroom, which I had a lot of fun making. Now I have to say, in this particular house, I didn't have a particular theme with colours throughout the house. Like the last couple of builds that I did, one of them had sort of pastel colours, and the last one was kind of earthy, greeny, wooden kind of tones, as I kept saying throughout the video. But this one is kind of like every room has its own personality. I sort of tailored it to what would a teen boy like, what would a teen girl like, and I kind of went with it. So obviously I do have a teenage boy, which is an advantage, but I really like this room, and I think I liked it more because they weren't particularly tones that I use a lot. I must admit, I don't tend to use black at all during building in The Sims. I should maybe do like a little black and white challenge or something like that just to change it up, but I really liked that room. I thought it was lovely how it turned out, and I went for kind of like the teen girls room at this point, so there was lots of purples. It was very colourful and it was probably very girly, but I tried to kind of make it a little bit more grown up with adding in obviously the TV and the sofas, a place where they can chill out, and then obviously, you know, the computer, which I think I had a computer in most of the bedrooms, if I'm honest. But yeah, I quite like this room as well. It's probably not to my taste, but I could imagine my daughter would really love this room. So yeah, I was quite happy with the way that it turned out. So I do go ahead and try and add in a few activities and skill building items as well, with the easel and again with the guitar in the corner. I do always try to add them into builds anyway, so there's always some sort of skill building items scattered throughout, well, probably every house that I do. But I really love this picture that's on the wall that came with seasons. It comes in some really beautiful sort of seasons oriented prints, and it's really beautiful. I really like it, and I do use it again downstairs in the playroom, and again I really like that print as well. But this was kind of like the little boys room, kind of like slash toddlers room, and I went for kind of like this red, blue and white sort of colour scheme. It was I'm trying to make a conscious effort as well, because I do many children's rooms in the builds that I do. I try and make a conscious effort to make them different each time I do them, because I do gravitate towards the same sort of objects, because ultimately I feel that they're the best objects to use, if you know what I mean. So it's quite hard sometimes to use different ones, but I do try and change it up as best as I can. Now this kitchen was the bane of my existence this week. Probably still not happy with it, if I'm honest. It ended up starting out as being what I wanted to be quite a big kitchen, and then I decided to make it a kitchen diner, which was fine. It could have still been quite big, but because of the way of the shape of the kitchen, it ended up being quite a small kitchen really for this build, and I'd probably say that was the only downside. But at the end of the day, I think when your Sims are cooking, it's not like you've got a kitchen full of Sims that are all trying to do things at the same time. You find that there's normally just one Sim that does the cooking and everybody else just comes and eats. So I thought, well, I don't feel too bad about that. There was still plenty of surface space as well, and that's something I always aim to include as well, surface space, because the amount of times I've downloaded a build and there's nothing bad in this, it's nothing that creators do which is bad, it's just that a lot of the time people tend to add a lot of clutter on the sides, and when you come to actually play the particular lot, the Sims don't have a place to cook because it sees it as the counter can't be used, which is really infuriating. So I always try and make sure that I leave a couple of surfaces nice and clear so that the Sims can actually cook in it. So yeah, but I did really like the way that that kitchen turned out in the end, but it was probably a little bit on the small side. So this is the living room, and I went with kind of like this red and grey sort of theme. And red, as anyone knows if you've watched my videos for a while, is one of my favourite colours. It's probably my top favourite colour, and I just really liked the living room. I just enjoyed making it. It was good fun. But at this point I wasn't really sure what to do with the last 3 rooms, and I sort of took a break, went away, and I thought I will do a study. Now normally I do a small study, but this time I thought I'll go for a kind of like a grand double study. So I didn't actually include the footage of the last room that I did, but initially I made it into an art studio, and then I wasn't really too happy with it, and I went back and deleted it and changed it into kind of like a little bit of a science room. So it had the chemical analyzer, a computer desk. It was very office based type space, but I have actually included a screenshot at the end of this video, so you'll be able to see it on there anyway. But this is the downstairs playroom, and it was just a very nice, bright, colourful area, a place for the kids to go and chill out and obviously do their activities and skill building, you know, bits and bobs as well. And I've put one of those pet cages, but I don't actually know which pet it is. But yeah, so finally the last room in the house was a gym. I thought, why not? We've got the space, let's do our own personal gym. So it's just nice, plain and straightforward really. Nothing too glamorous about it, just a nice place for your Sims to exercise if they want to work on a fitness skill. But I really hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you're having a fantastic week so far, as I say every time. If you did like this video, please give me a big thumbs up, and if you're not subscribed, please think about sticking around. It'd be great to have you on board. But have a fantastic weekend, guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye!